Okay, I think we got it going on. All right,
Right.
perfect. Okay, so we're recording.
Right.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Jacie West here with a toxic relationship rehab graduate interview. And today we have Samantha with us. And Sam was actually one of the first people to go through the updated version of the program, where I took a lot of the lessons and exercises I used to go over in session and transform them into weekly videos, which worked well for you since you ended up opting to do just the online course. But well, we did end up having one hypnotherapy session together, and I definitely want to know how your personal experience was on that. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So, Sam,
Okay.
you were in what you would consider a toxic relationship. And I personally know how completely soul destroying that can be. And after that ended, where were you mentally and emotionally? Where were you at? What did you do to cope at first?
Um, I felt like, first of all, if my English is probably not excellent, okay, because I'm Spanish.
But you're doing
So I
great.
try to communicate. Sometimes I will try to communicate a bit slowly, maybe, so I can get the right words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I felt like I was over an abyss. Would you say? Would you say it like
In
that?
an abyss. Yeah. Yeah.
In an abyss. Okay, in an
Yeah.
abyss. Uh, I thought I was losing my mind. I felt terribly jealous, uh, useless, invisible. Um, I just couldn't, the feeling of not being able to communicate with the person I felt that I loved so deeply just made me feel like I was worthless. I couldn't understand how everything could have changed so radically, do you say radical
Mm-hmm.
from radical? Yeah, radically. Yeah.
Radically. Yeah. Might be the
um
word.
so I knew I needed help, because I just, my head would just work on its own. I couldn't control it. So I called my previous therapist that I had like years ago, because
Mm-hmm.
this wasn't my first toxic relationship at all.
They usually come in patterns. Yeah.
Yes, and well, I know where it all comes from. It comes from my childhood. I know that, but so yes, I called an old therapist of mine, and at first she was very useful, um, because I really needed a hand, and she was there, so that was like great. But once we continued with the therapy, just didn't feel the whole.
Mm.
I needed something deeper. I felt like she didn't really understand what I was going through. She didn't believe in malignant narcissists. She didn't believe that they live amongst us.
Mm.
Um, so she didn't really give all the credit to my feelings. And I knew I needed somebody who had actually specialized on personality disorders. But here where I live in the south of Spain, I couldn't find any professionals who were experts on that.
Mm-hmm.
So then you came along through a Facebook page. Yes, it was a group, narcissistic survivors group on Facebook, and you
Mm.
commented on one of my posts, and that's how I checked, your page and saw all the things you had, and I thought, I think Jace is the one. So that's how it all started.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that. I first saw your post that you made on a narcissistic abuse group on Facebook, and I just felt compelled to comment on it, and which led us to talking back and forth in email for a bit. And then
Yeah.
you ended up joining the program. And I've
Okay.
personally noticed just leaps and bounds in your journey. But now, after completing the month of the program, the month-long program, would you say you've personally noticed any effects or results from going through it?
Okay. Well, with us, because of personal problems on both sides, for us it took us like a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months. But it
Yeah, it
was
was
good
roughly
because
about
that
that.
Yeah, that sort of, no, on my part too. And but the thing is, it was useful because I could stretch it longer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could reflect on every exercise for a longer time. And so the original question was, sorry.
The original question, yeah, was there any specific effects or results that you kind of noticed after going through it, after even going through it a little bit stretched out, going through the exercises even longer?
A lot. You
Yeah.
know, I send you, how many emails did I send you? Like every week I would send you an email or two sometimes. Yes, I went through a lot of up and downs. Well, first of all, for me, I was motivated from the very start when I started with your program.
Mm-hmm.
Like
You were.
I was like motivation. What, you know, that exercise we have, like how do I feel today?
Mm-hmm.
You know that one. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would in the three parts. I would always write, for example, on how I felt. One would be maybe fear. Another would be shame. Another one would be happy because I was optimistic. You know, I always had like that little ingredient of feeling optimistic. I just went through so many changes. I don't know where to start from. I don't know where to start from. I need more specific questions because I don't know where to
So,
start.
okay, let's make it a little bit more specific then.
Okay.
So, because I know you went through a lot of changes. We had a lot of correspondence back and forth, and I saw your journey, and it was really great. But I guess what would you say that really sticks out to you that you got from this program? What did you see that changed in yourself that you really kind of see that big difference from the beginning to now?
Yes, the importance of focusing on myself instead of focusing on the other or the situation. Like, how can I influence the situation? How can I influence the other? Like that always keeps you looking for the answer outside, and it's like a mistake. It drains you. So what I've noticed mostly that it has changed is that I have the tools. I can find ways of making myself feel better, of talking to myself, and you know, if I'm obsessed with someone or I'm feeling negative, I can actually sit myself down and see, you know, and speak to myself, or do an activity on the notebook, or go to one of these different tasks that you give us, you know. Like the feeling that I have tools and that I am, you know, the main answers are in me. Like I always need to come back to myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that goes back to what you were saying when you told me that you feel like you're more honest with yourself now. I guess that plays along because now you have the tools, right? To be able to dive into that, because to be honest with yourself, you actually have to know the truth first. You have to go inside. That's exactly what you were saying, having those tools now, which is great because it all comes down to that self-honesty. And I was curious too, because you mentioned how you feel like you now are better able to recognize the red flags. What kind of stands out to you that you've kind of picked up throughout the course that you're like, yes, okay, now I'm more aware?
Yes, it should be common sense, but we just keep forgetting it or ignoring it. But first of all, compatibility. Like when I start dating with someone, like I just realized I never gave any real importance to that. Like I would only give importance to the emotions I felt being with the person. So I started seeing the incompatibilities with the last person I started dating. I saw them at the beginning. I could tell, that doesn't look good. Oh, that doesn't look good. But because I saw them, and because I did things differently, I became too confident. I wasn't ready yet.
I call that, peeling the layers of the onion back. We do that. We're like, okay, I'm healed. I know this. I got this. And then, it'll be a little bit of a test. Here's a layer. Yeah.
I'm safe because I can see it. I'm safe. No, because you can see it now. It's better that you get your things and you say bye.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I need to improve that. Yes,
And
definitely.
that's just honestly one of the most common things that I hear. It's that now you feel so informed that you're like, okay, I can take this on. Now that I know, now I'm aware, I can willingly walk into the pits of hell and not get burned. But it's now that you know it's a pit of hell, let's walk the other direction.
Yes, exactly. Because
Yeah.
you are safe until, because if you continue like meeting this person, sooner or later you're going to feel affectionate towards this person, and you're going to let your guard down, and then is when it's going to happen, and you're going to be
Exactly.
discarded or something like that.
Exactly. Just that actual bit of interaction, having them in your vicinity will build that rapport, will build that connection with them. And then you'll overlook all the things that you saw in the beginning.
Exactly. Because of the connection you build, you overlook. Exactly. Yeah.
And you mentioned to me before how you noticed people responding differently to you now. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And has that been something you've been continuing to notice in your life?
Okay, it's become softer now, but there was a point during the process when I was like being more assertive and more radical with the things that I knew weren't good for me. I was probably a bit too sensitive because I'm not that used to setting boundaries with people who I love, like my best friends, my family. I find it really hard to set boundaries, to say, look, I don't like that, or please don't speak to me like that, or that makes me feel like this, or that makes me feel like that. So that was one thing, that I was saying it all at the same time. So some people were like, okay. And I have to say too that my ex, he lives in my neighborhood, so I have to see him. I have to see him every now and then. And if COVID wasn't an issue, my usual self would have packed her things in suitcases, and I would have flown somewhere. I would have gone to live somewhere else. That's what I would have done. Because as I told you, I've been in previous toxic relationships, and I just, when I could, I just got myself as far away as I could from the other person, so I didn't have to see the other person. But because of COVID, I've been forced to stay in the same town, same neighborhood, same almost street. And so I had to develop different skills, new skills, because it was the first time I was forced to be in contact somehow with this person, with a person I didn't want to be, that I needed to heal from. It was the first time I felt I was forced to stay, not in the relationship, but in the surroundings.
Yeah. And that can be really, really tough when you're going through that healing process. But now at this point, do you feel for yourself that it was a benefit or not so much a benefit, kind of a detriment to have to
You mean to stay, to not fly away?
So because you developed kind of new coping skills, right? You develop new ways of handling your emotions and handling the situation. So do you think that was beneficial to you, that it was worth it to have to go through this experience of having to be there, of having to, not be able to run away?
It was worth it because, and I mean it, because I met you with your tools and your program. This is not a commercial, everyone. So, no, actually,
it's not a paid advertisement.
doesn't pay me for this. No, I would have gone away definitely if I had been able to. But because I could find the right tools, it has become something rewarding. Like, it's become beneficial because I found the right tools. I feel sorry for the people who are in a situation like I was, and don't find the right resources.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know what it is to go to therapy, and having a professional who's not aware and who's not educated about the effects of personality disorders on the victim. It's tough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy I had the tools. Yes.
And I'm so happy you do too now. And was there any specific exercise or lesson that really impacted you or stood out to you in some way?
Yes, Jacie has so many different tasks. You can't imagine.
I try not to overload you, but I want to give you all the ones that I found actually work. But everyone always has like, it's fun. I'm glad to hear that a lot. I hear the mix between it. Some people are like, this was actually really fun. Other people are like, this is hell. I don't want to do this anymore.
Of course, yes. Like some of them, for me, I will tell you what was hell. Shall I tell you what was hell? I love the introjects. I just love that. I could understand so much about what was going on in my head and my beliefs and stuff. Like introjects is just a must. When I did the invisibility versus visibility exercise, that was like, oh my God. So I'm doing this for these reasons. Shit, what now? Okay. What else? Defining how and describing how I felt like every day, giving it names. Like
really labeling it. Yeah. Going into it.
Labeling. It's not easy. It wasn't for me actually.
Did you end up using one of the emotion color wheels or the Instagram kind of cheat sheet that I had going on?
I read yours at first, and then I found it like easy to just get the one on the internet.
The color wheel. Mm-hmm. There's some hypnotic tracks within the program, but we also had that hypnotherapy session together at one point. And I believed that was the first time you were ever formally hypnotized, right?
Yes.
So how was that experience for you, if you can remember back to that?
I remember that the first one we did, because you do have that track on internet, don't you?
Yes, I believe I sent you that track, right?
Yes.
To
ease you into it. The first one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that it reminded me of the other one because I had done the other one. I had heard it like 3 times before going to sleep. So yeah, it was I don't remember right now because I need to go back to how I felt. The thing is, because I've changed so much, I feel like my vibration, my energy has changed. It's difficult for me to go back to then. But I remember I was enjoying it very much because you are very good at guiding, and also you have a very soft voice, and you make people feel safe. Like you have that capability of, okay, she's here, it's fine.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So from what you can remember then is that it was a very kind of calming and safe experience for you.
Yes. And I had already asked you some questions about it, like, can you actually tell me to feel things or do things that I don't want to? And you were like, no.
Can't brainwash you unless, it goes within your values. No. But
I only did one, so I cannot tell you more about the effect. Maybe if I had done more, I could actually tell you more about it.
But I do know that you were a little bit hesitant at first because you were asking me all those questions, right? And justly so. It's something you've never done before. You want more information. You want to know what you're getting into.
I want control.
Yes, exactly. You want to know that you can be in control for sure. So, and for sure, you would be able to explain more kind of the benefit if we got to have a few more sessions together. But yeah, but it's in general, it's not a mind controlling experience. It's not a fearful experience. It's
no. And I did, because we only did one hypnosis, but I did I heard all the tracks, the morning and night tracks that you have, which are my favorites. Like I was like, oh my God, morning track, early track, you're just lying there with your earphones, and there's just soft voice with this music. It's very professional. You do it in a very nice, elegant way. So it was. I remember at first I went just like with everything you said. I was like, yes, I agree. And then there was one track. You remember? Where I said to you, I don't agree with this, blah, 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 blah. You remember?
Yes, I do remember you talking about this. Yes.
And that, it was also very rewarding because I could there see that we could think differently sometimes. And that only meant that I was learning more about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And all the process with the program, I think in the end, it doesn't matter if you are totally sure about your values, your core values all the time, or if you want to do it perfectly and write the right thing, and sometimes you doubt, oh, maybe I'm mistaken, or I don't know for sure. But the important thing about it is that all this time you're focusing your attention on what is going on inside of you and what is happening with yourself when you get all these tasks and activities and feedback and stuff, and just how you respond to this is showing you who you are, and you're putting the attention where you need to put it.
Exactly.
If I hadn't been doing this, I would have been ruminating about my ex, ruminating, feeling miserable, feeling jealous, and probably searching his social how do you call
social
them?
medias.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's what I've done before. So I know I would have done that. So focusing on myself was like, wow, after 3.5 months, I was like over my ex, maybe not 100%, but 75%, I can assure you. 75% or 75%. And the thing is, now I feel compassion towards him. I hated him so much. And I needed to go through a lot of turmoil, you say?
Turmoil, yeah.
Yes, a lot. You know it.
Oh, yeah.
Be kind to Jacie, okay? When you go through the emotional turmoil, be kind to Jacie, please. She puts up with a lot of,
Oh, because I know, I get it. I've been there myself. I get it. So yeah, please continue.
And I had to face some emotions I had towards him that I just didn't want to face. Like I had to face that even though I wanted to like hate him, I felt for him and I admired him in many ways. And I thought I saw all these wonderful things in him. So when I came to grips with this fact, like, okay, I don't know, maybe it's how do you say, traumatic bonding. Okay, maybe it's traumatic bonding, trauma bonding, but I feel like I love him. I feel I love this person. Okay, so I had to admit to myself, I love this person, and this, brought out a lot of tears, and the fact that I felt inferior and other things like that. I just had to come to grips with that. And then after admitting that to myself, it was like, everything came back to normal. I didn't feel like that for a very, very long time. So it went away. But sometimes, to let these horrible feelings of emptiness and inferiority and extreme vulnerability and stuff, unless you admit them, that they are there, is the only way you can let them leave you in peace and go away. It's like when you say, okay, I feel all this. I don't want to. I feel guilty for feeling them. I don't like myself for feeling them, but I do.
It's so true.
they don't stay. That's the great
They
thing.
don't stay once you acknowledge them. It's so true. And it's just like, sometimes we don't, like you said, we desperately don't want to acknowledge that we actually, on some level, do love that person.
Yes.
We actually do. And we want to reject that and not look at it, because we're like, how I feel so guilty for loving somebody who treated me like that.
Exactly.
And I'm angry at myself for letting someone treat me like that, or loving somebody who treated me like that. But there are definitely aspects within that person that are valuable, that we do appreciate, that we wish maybe we even had more of in ourselves. Yes. There's a reflection going on there. And until we can admit that, like you said, until we can really validate that and accept that there are aspects in this person that I actually admire. There's aspects in this person that, I actually wish maybe I had more of in myself, and I can't completely hate them and completely just look at them as a monster, because then I'd be disregarding all those other aspects. And but even though, and of course it always comes back to it, even though we know that there are good aspects and bad aspects in every single thing on this planet and every single person on this planet, doesn't mean that they're necessarily compatible with you, as we've learned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Definitely. And kind of like my direction with the toxic relationship rehab program is for not only to kind of be a very structured and systematic approach to healing from narcissistic and emotional abuse, but also to be kind of a comprehensive library of insights and techniques to help people further navigate themselves with communication and even in relationships. Because I don't just want you to evaluate yourself, I actually want you to elevate yourself. And I know you've been tipping your toes into the dating pool again recently. You don't have to tell us too much about it, and if you don't want to, but maybe you can tell us just a little bit about how comfortable you feel navigating the dating scene now. Like what have you learned that maybe has made it easier for you to do that?
Okay. Right. I need water.
I need water for this one. Yeah.
Well, the good thing was that at the beginning, I paid attention to the incompatibilities. Okay. And I saw them very soon. I saw some of them, a couple of them. But because I was feeling attractive again, there's something in one of your tracks that says, it's okay to be myself, it's natural and it's good that I'm myself and this and that. And I needed that because my self-esteem was very low at the time. And so I would like use it as a mantra. And I felt I was projecting it, and it really helped me started dating again. I dated with 2.
Mm-hmm. Look at you go.
Okay, nothing happened. I have to admit to myself that I'm eager for affection. Okay, I'm eager for intimacy and feeling just the nice feels.
Mm-hmm. That kind of instant gratification. Yeah.
Yes. And because I want it, and I want the company, and I want to have fun and all that, I'm willing to put up with things that I know, or I should know, that are not okay. And I think that has to do with my cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, our brain likes to do that split and have that cognitive dissonance. Yeah.
Yes, that comes from my childhood. And like not giving enough credit to what I feel or I see in the moment. Like from the beginning, I could feel things that I didn't like about him, but I would ignore these things because then he had other things that I liked. So I just wanted to I said to myself, okay, don't get into this area, or don't get into this subject. Just stick to this part that is working.
We definitely go through that. And like I said before, healing from any type of abuse, physical or emotional, if it's recent or it's from like the way past, it's more of a journey than a quick visit to the doctor, right? There's layers to healing. And it's just like an onion. Like I said, you have to keep peeling them back, and they might make you cry. The layers might make you cry, but once you kind of know what to do with them, then, and how to cook them, if we're going with this cooking metaphor or this onion metaphor, then they can be quite nutritious. And going along with this cooking metaphor, would you say that you now feel you have, you really do have the tools to get yourself back on track if you ever needed to?
Yes, like for example, with him, my best friend told me, "Oh, come on, Sam, you don't care about this guy. Like you're not you're not codependent with him or anything like that." You know, my friend told me, and it's true. It's like I didn't, when he told me on text, you know, that for him it was finished because this and that and blah 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 blah, because we had been disagreeing about things. And when he told me on WhatsApp, I was like, oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. And that's what I love to hear, because you've definitely, like, I know I keep saying it, but you've just jumped from where you were when I first saw that first Facebook post and where you were to where you are now. And it makes me so happy to see that.
Thank you.
I want to thank you too, Sam, for chatting with me today. And I'm sure the curious people watching this interview really kind of appreciate it as well, that you were able to come on here and talk about this. And I know it's probably getting late for you over there on your end. There's big time difference. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up a little bit by ending off with a quote that you had in the last email you sent me, because you just so beautifully summed up exactly the type of people that I created this program for, and really my main mission with it, which is, you said, "I recommend this program to those people who are willing to dive into themselves and understand the unconscious motivations that rule their decisions and actions. People who are determined, perseverant, curious, and strong enough to navigate the emotional turmoil that this process requires, and who believe in change." End quote. And honestly, I don't think I could have said it better myself. So thank you, Sam. And thank you again for taking the time out of your day to chat with me and to share your experience with us. And if someone were just out of a toxic relationship themselves, or maybe they've had a pattern of toxic relationships and they're just sitting there right now thinking about joining the program, after you've gone through this yourself, what's one thing you'd say to them right now?
I would say, if they're willing to do the work, and I think they will, if they want to get out of there, and that is hell, it feels like hell, probably they will have the strength and the willpower to undergo this journey. And it's so rewarding, especially people who are already doing therapy, but it's not really working that much. I recommend it because it makes a change. It does.
Yes. Well, on that note, I really, really appreciate that. And I'm so happy and proud of where you are from where we first started talking again, and who you've become now. And there's only up from here. We know this. There's only up from here. So that's Sam's story and her personal experience, guys, being part of the toxic relationship rehab program. And if you guys are interested to learn more, or you still quite aren't sure about what this is all about, you can book a free call with me and we can go over any question you have, and I can answer any question or concern you might have. I don't know why I repeated that twice, but until then, Sam, thank you again for chatting with me. And
always rewarding. It's always rewarding to chat to you.
It is. It really is. And I hope you guys, and especially you, Sam, create a really, really great week for yourself.
Thank you, you too.
Bye, guys.
Bye.